We have a lot to do today. I made a to-do list. Can we do this today? We're going to get started on it now. Hello, family. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Vicki, and you're with Gravy in the Kitchen. So today is Sunday. It's 2.5 weeks till Thanksgiving. We're going to go ahead and get started on what we can to have a better Thanksgiving. We are going to North Carolina next weekend to visit the kids and have Joey's birthday. That's my new grandson. He'll be 1 year old. It's hard to believe it's been a year. But we're going to go down there a week early to have Thanksgiving with them, plus have Joey's birthday. So we got a lot to do. So for starters, the mozzarella we got from Azure Standard, we need to go ahead and shred that. We need to prepare the dough that we stuck in the freezer because we ran out of cheese. Plus, I want to make another batch of pizzas. We need to make marshmallows again. They were so good. Because on Thanksgiving, we do what's called candied yams, and that's sweet potatoes with maple syrup, butter, cinnamon, brown sugar, and we always melt marshmallows on the top. So we're going to make homemade marshmallows for that. We need to make our bread, get them cubed, and toast it for the dressing or stuffing. We're not stuffing a turkey with it. We use it as a side dish. So we need to do that today. I'm going to make a double batch. Each batch makes a 3-pound bread. So I put it in a 2-pound loaf and a 1-pound loaf. So we're going to double that. My stand mixer will not double the recipe, so we'll have to make it twice. The husband and I really loved the applesauce cake we made last time. I'm going to make 2 today. One is for us now, and one will be for Thanksgiving when we go to North Carolina. I already told you about the pizzas. I need to prepare and freeze that half of 25-pound bag of carrots we got from Azure. And I also need to cook dinner. I took one of our frozen packs of whole cut up chicken. This is minus the wings because we put those in a separate bag. Letting this thaw, and then we're going to prepare it. I don't know how I want to do it, but we're going to have some sort of chicken tonight. I went shopping in the pantry, and I think I have everything. If not, it's no big deal. We'll run to the pantry and get what we need. But I figured since the bread and the pizza dough needs to do rising, the bread has to rise twice. Once in the bowl and then once in the pans. And I have enough pans that I can go ahead and do all the dough at one time because I have 2 2-pound loaves and 2 1-pound loaves, and each dough makes 3 pounds. So I could do those at the same time. Pizza dough, we have the 2 in the refrigerator that we took out of the freezer. Plus I want to go ahead and make an additional pizza dough so we can have extra heat and eat pizzas in our freezer. So I think the dough, pizza dough will be first because that goes straight into the refrigerator. Bread will be second, then the applesauce, then the carrots. That's the order we're going to do it. Stick around, it'll be a great day. Aprons on, let's get this day started. This is just a basic pizza recipe. It's 3 cups of water, 1/4 cup of sugar, 4 teaspoons of yeast. We're going to let the yeast bloom. Then we're going to add 4 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of oil. I'm using olive oil. Use whatever oil you like. Then we're going to add 8 cups of flour. Let that knead in the machine until the dough is cohesive, comes together. Then we're going to take it out and we're going to divide it into 5. I found out 5 is the perfect amount for us. All right, pizza dough. I'm just going to knead it just a little bit more. It is chilly today, and it's chilly in the house. So it's not coming together perfect, but that's okay. I think in the new year, I am going to invest in one of those bread machines. I think it's called Bosch bread machines. I think I could really use that. By the amount of bread I'm planning on making today, as well as the pizzas we make. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Alright, that looks good. Now I found out if I divide this into 5, the thickness of the dough is perfect. That's the thing, just get in your kitchen and experiment and see what works for you. So I cut it into 4s, and I'm going to borrow a little bit from each one to make a 5th. I'm just going to eyeball it to make sure it's close to equal as I can. Let's see. Yep, that feels good. Make a dough ball, just pinching it all together. So with the 5 we have right here, plus the 2 we have in the refrigerator that were in the freezer, we're going to have 7 dough balls. But I'm going to turn one of these into a breadstick so we can have breadsticks for dinner to go with that chicken that I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. So I have 3 oiled bags that we keep in the freezer in between uses. Plus 2 more. This will go into the refrigerator to do its rise until we're ready to make our pizzas. Bread recipe makes 3 pounds, so that's 1 2-pound loaf and 1 1-pound loaf. But we're going to double this recipe, but I'm doing it one at a time. So in here I have 2 cups of water, a half a cup of sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And we're going to let this bloom. Then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a 1/4 cup of oil, and between 5 and 6 cups of flour. We're going to stop at 5 and then move it to the island, and when we're kneading it, we can use the last cup of flour to flour our surface. And we know it's not ready because it is pretty sticky. So this is the 6th cup of flour. We might need it all. We might need more. We might need less, but we're prepared. While I'm working on this, I'm going to go ahead and get the yeast, the sugar, and the water ready for the second batch of bread. Alright, so the yeast is in the bowl with the water and the sugar, letting it bloom. We're just going to knead enough flour into this dough so it's not sticky. We're going to knead it for a total of 8 minutes. Yep, still sticky. I don't think we need to add any more flour. So we're just going to incorporate what's on the bench and call it quits while we work on the second dough. Turn this into a dough ball, pinch the ends. I'm going to add some olive oil in this bowl. Top side down, swish, 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 flip. We're going to cover this and repeat the process for this second batch. So this is recipe 1 of bread, and I ran out of bowls. This is recipe 2, doing its first rise. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the applesauce cake because we have to cook that and let it cool completely before we put our frosting on. But I'm doubling this recipe. I'll put a link right here because it was a very recent video on this applesauce cake. Like I said, we're doubling it. I need to get 2 pans ready so we can start this applesauce cake. I have the oven preheating to 350 degrees. The cake batter is made. I have 2 pans with coconut oil and flour. I'm using a rectangle pan. It's going to be a little thinner, but that's okay. And then a square pan. The reason I'm using this pan is because I don't have another square pan. I had taken cinnamon rolls to North Carolina one time during our visit. You know how we make the cinnamon rolls, put them in the freezer, let them thaw and rise and cook them. We took one of those to North Carolina in the square pan and we left it, and Amanda has confiscated it. That's okay. We have casserole dishes, just not a square. So I went ahead and doubled this cake recipe. Trying to get as much off of the paddle as I can. We're not wasting any of this. If I can remember correctly, I think the last time it cooked 53 minutes. I know, I didn't write it down. I should have. But because one of these is going to be a thinner one, I'm wondering if that one will cook a little faster. So I need to keep an eye on it after 35 minutes. And see if we need to adjust the time. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven, set the timer for 35 minutes, check them, and let them cook a little bit longer until they're done. The square one should take, I think it was 53 minutes. I'm not sure about the rectangle one. So we have pizza dough made, we've got bread dough made, we've got applesauce cake in the oven. And we'll get those dishes done. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the marshmallows. I have a parchment paper lined baking sheet. Now I want these a little bit thinner because I'm kind of looking forward to like a mini marshmallow and a regular marshmallow. We'll see how it turns out. So it's a bigger pan. This is a 13 by 9 if I'm not mistaken. So I have powdered sugar in here waiting on us. I have 2 tablespoons of beef gelatin with a half a cup of water, and it has turned into jelly. So we're going to set this aside. It's been sitting for about 5 minutes. Needs to sit for 10 minutes. On the stove, I have a half a cup of water and 2 cups of sugar. We just want to get the sugar dissolved in this water. And then we'll add our gelatin and water mixture. And then we need to heat that up to 240 degrees. My thermometer only goes to 220, so we're just going to go a little bit past 220 and we're going to call it. And we're not trying to caramelize this, we are just trying to melt the sugar. So don't let it turn brown on you. You can still feel the grit of the sugar, it's not ready. Let's go ahead and add our gelatin and water. We just want to stir that until it dissolves in the sugar, and then we're not going to touch it. Okay, it is all dissolved. Now we need to heat it up to 240 degrees. I think I'm going to ask Santa Claus for a few things for this kitchen. One being a candy thermometer. I'm removing it from the flame just so it doesn't boil over. Do not walk away from your stove at this time. All right, we're at 220. Alright, we're going to call it. Stove off. Let's pour the marshmallow sugar mixture into the mixer. Make sure we're scraping it and getting all the goodness out of here. We need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now we're just going to whisk this until it turns light and fluffy and white. So we just wanted to mix it until it made soft peaks, which is perfect. I have my powdered sugar right here. Put a spatula inside just to get some powdered sugar on this spatula. Trying to get as much of this goodness off of here as I can. Now we're going to pour it into our prepared pan. Trying to make sure I get all the goodness out of here. Then we want to sprinkle some powdered sugar on the top. I'm using a tea infuser, but any kind of fine mesh strainer will just work just fine. Perfect. And we're just going to set this aside until the marshmallows firm up, and we'll be able to cut those and put those in the refrigerator wrapped up in parchment paper. So it's been in the oven for 46 minutes. This one is not quite ready. This one is nowhere near ready. I knew this was going to take a little longer. We're going to let the cake stay in the oven for an additional 5 minutes, and then we'll check on that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get those dishes out of the way so we can get ready to shred the mozzarella. Both of the applesauce cakes are done after the 35 minutes. The rectangle one took an additional 19 minutes for a total of 54. The square one, after the 35 minutes, took an additional 22 minutes for a total of 57 minutes. So keep that in mind if you decide to make this applesauce cake, which is delicious. Now we need to let these completely cool before we make our frosting and put the frosting on these cakes. So we're just going to set these aside until we're ready for them. Marshmallows are done. Just waiting for those to firm up. Applesauce cake is done. Just waiting for it to cool off. Our bread is rising super slow. But that's okay. We've got time. Pizza dough is still in the refrigerator. So right now I want to go ahead and get started on shredding that mozzarella. We have not put any marks on our list because there is nothing complete. The marshmallows are not done. The bread is still rising. The applesauce still needs to cool. The pizza dough needs to rise. Haven't even started or thought about dinner yet. And we still need to do the carrots. As soon as we get that mozzarella shredded, we can mark that off the list. Everything is called wait. Let's get that mozzarella ready. Now we're going to go ahead and prepare our mozzarella to shred. I like cut them up into the size that fits through the chute of the shredder. I like to put these in the freezer just to firm up a bit, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Then once that time is up, we'll go ahead and get shredding. So this is the cheese we got from Azure Standard. It's a new cheese to us. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the freezer for 30 minutes and then we'll start shredding this. The marshmallows have been sitting here for 3 hours. I'm going to go ahead and cut them and get them in a Ziploc bag and get them in the refrigerator. Now these are thinner because I wanted to make mini marshmallows. So I'm just putting sugar on my knife, rubbing it along the edge to free it up. Just like that. And now we're going to go ahead and cut them into small little pieces. I want to cut them going this way. So I'm making about maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch square. We're going to put some powdered sugar and separate them to fluff them up. Make sure they're all coated with that powdered sugar. Just tossing them in that powdered sugar. So marshmallows are done. So the way I like to store this is I just use the same parchment paper. So I make a little envelope and I'm just going to put it in a Ziploc bag. And I'll just stick this in the refrigerator because our marshmallows do not have a preservative. So they will not last forever on your countertop. They won't last forever in your refrigerator. But if you use them within 2 weeks, you're good. So we got the mozzarella shredded. I have a bag in the refrigerator and I got the rest in the freezer. And we got the marshmallows done. 2 things are done. Yay! We're going to go ahead and roll our bread dough and get them in our pans. So I have two 2-pan loaves and 2 1-pan loaf. We're going to oil these with some coconut oil. Make sure we get all the corners really well. We'll go ahead and oil the lids also. So this is our first dough ball. £2 and 15 ounces, which is okay. It's 1 ounce shy of 3 pounds, but that's okay. We're going to weigh out 1 pound. That's 1 pound, and that's 2 pounds. We're going to fold it in thirds, and then fold it in thirds the other way. We didn't put no flour, no oil on our bench here. There's enough oil on this dough to do what we need. So we're going to start rolling it up really, really tight. Pinch the bottom. We're going to tuck in the ends. This is our 2-pound loaf. We're going to drop it in and let it do a second rise. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and do the 1 pound. And we're going to do the second dough ball, a 2 pound and a 1 pound. So I'm putting the plastic wrap on them right now so I can actually see them rising. Once they get more than halfway in this pan, we'll put the lids on and then stick them in the oven. So I'm just going to set these aside. I have the 2 large cast iron skillets in the oven warming up to 400 degrees. Now we're going to go ahead and make our pizzas. We got to doctor our sauce a little bit, get our cheese and pizza dough out, start rolling those and getting those in the oven. Now this is our homemade pasta sauce we made last month. We're going to add a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of onion powder. Now these 2 doughs are the one that we had in the freezer. From the last time we made pizza when we realized we didn't have enough mozzarella. took these out of the freezer and stuck it in the refrigerator yesterday. One pan is hot. Put a little avocado oil in here. A sprinkle of polenta. And the pizza dough. Put some sauce. Back in the oven for 20 minutes. And we're just going to repeat the process until we get all 6 done. And then we'll get them ready for the freezer. While the pizza is cooking in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the frosting for the cake. So we are doubling this recipe. So we have a half a cup of butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, and a 1/4 cup of milk. We want to melt the butter, dissolve the sugar in this milk. Let it come to a boil for 2 minutes. Then we're going to take it off of the burner, let it cool completely before we add our powdered sugar. Okay, we are boiling. We're going to let it boil for 2 minutes, and we're not going to touch it. We're not going to stir it. We're not going to do anything. And we're definitely not going to walk away. Two minutes is up. And I'm going to set this aside. And once that butter, brown sugar, milk mixture cools off, we'll add our powdered sugar and ice in those cakes. We're getting there, family, slowly, but we're getting there. One pizza is ready. We have some sauce and some grated mozzarella going on top. And once this cools off, we'll wrap it up and stick it in the freezer. And we'll have 4 pizzas ready to cool off, wrap up, and stick in the freezer. And we only have 2 more to go. The last dough, we're actually going to make breadsticks for dinner. And family, I have a confession to make. We're not cooking chicken for dinner tonight. Way too much on our plate tonight. We're going to have a pizza. The husband has some pepperonis in the refrigerator. I have some frozen peppers and onions in the freezer. We're going to have pizza and breadsticks. The chicken I'll save tomorrow. And I don't think we're going to get to the carrots either. But that's okay. Always tomorrow. Whatever we don't do today, we'll start off tomorrow and move on from there. It's not a big deal. We got this. So I have the 5th pizza in the oven. This is number 6. And this is going to be for dinner. When I put the mozzarella in these bags, I did them at 1.5 pounds, and one has maybe a little bit over a pound. So I'm going to have to go get another bag of cheese to finish that 6th pizza, plus breadsticks. This is the bacon we cooked the other day when we were making the soup for souping with friends. So we're going to add some bacon. Pepperoni is the husband's side. But I'm going to go ahead and add bacon to the whole thing. This is some frozen diced green peppers. I'm going to add it to my side. And we're going to put this in the oven and let it cook completely. That's going to take about 30 minutes. This is our last dough, and we're going to turn this into breadsticks. All the dough bags with the oil is going to go in the freezer. Until we need to make pizzas again. We're going to add some avocado oil. Some garlic powder. Put as much or as little as you like. Sprinkle of Italian seasoning. We're going to go ahead and cut this into sticks. About 3/4 of an inch wide, and then cut them in half. And then we're going to add some mozzarella. And there we go, breadsticks. That's the last pizza for the freezer. The pizza for dinner is in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and put the breadsticks in. So we have 4 pizzas right there. This is number 5. As soon as those cool off, we'll get them wrapped up in saran wrap, put them in the freezer. It looks like our bread has a few more minutes. And I took out some par-cooked chicken wings out of the freezer yesterday because the husband wanted to make some chicken wings. I think I'm going to cook those too. So this bag had mozzarella in it. I am not going to throw it away. I am going to save it so the next time we get mozzarella we can use the same bag. This is our brown sugar, butter, milk mixture for the frosting for our cake. Now we need to go ahead and add 2 cups of sugar. If I have 2 cups of sugar, powdered sugar, just going to dump it all in there. It looks about 2 cups, maybe a tad over, but that's okay. And we'll get that stirred in. We need 2 teaspoons of vanilla and just a pinch of salt. We're going to divide this frosting between the 2 of these. I can tell you right now, the husband is picky. He's a picky eater, but that's okay. He says this cake is one of his favorites. This came about because I had some applesauce that I had canned a couple years ago, and I needed to get it used. So I just looked up a recipe for applesauce cake. Found one that had all the things we had. The cloves, the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the brown sugar, the powdered sugar. We have all of these things. So making a healthy dessert is no problem. I'm excited to share this with the kids on our Thanksgiving. And I might make another one for when the husband and I have Thanksgiving. So I'm actually going to put this one in the freezer because I'm actually taking this one to North Carolina. So I want it to freeze completely before we wrap it up and keep it in the freezer until we leave. And this one is for us to enjoy. So we can check off applesauce cake, and we can check off pizza, and we can check off cooking dinner, because that's actually in the oven. The bread I'm going to cook tonight, but I'm probably not going to get it cubed and toast it until tomorrow. That's okay. And the carrots will definitely be tomorrow. And then we got to do something with that chicken since we took it out of the freezer. It's okay. It is okay. When I first wake up in the morning and I have my coffee and I have my breakfast and I sit there and think of what I need to do on my days off, I do tend to get a little zealous and make my list huge. I don't always get to everything, but I do try my best to get most of it done. And since I have 2 days off that are back to back, and I only work part-time anyway, 4 to 6 hours a day, it's not that big of a deal. We have time to do the things we have to do in my kitchen, but you need to find time in your life to do the things you need to do in your kitchen. The rising of the pizza dough is what takes the longest. Actually, making the pizza's not that long. I have 2 pans, so they have to be in rotation, but that's okay. We're getting it done. The bread is for Thanksgiving with my North Carolina children, and also for the husband and I to have Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. Let me check on dinner. It's almost done, but I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven off because the residual heat in there will toast it up. The husband ran to the store real quick to get a few things he needed for work this week. We still need to wrap our pizzas. We still need to cook our bread. But before I get the pizzas wrapped up, they are cool right now. I'm just going to stick them in the refrigerator until I can get to it. If I get to it today, I get to it today. If I don't, I don't. So this is some par-cooked wings we got on sale a while back, and I just kept them in the freezer in single serving. This is the husband's favorite barbecue sauce. It's not clean. It's not perfect ingredients, but in this house we pick our battles. And I'm going to add a little bit of our chicken dry rub. Maybe a tablespoon. And this is 2 servings of wings. Just give that a toss. I'm going to try to keep the basket to the air fryer clean. So I'm going to use parchment paper. I've got it cut in quarters just so I can cut these corners. I'm going to add a little bit of avocado oil right on these wings. These are still just a tad bit frozen, but that is okay. They will thaw and cook completely in that air fryer. They tell you not to crowd the basket, But I'm not doing this in 2 batches, because I always go back and give it a good toss anyway, so it's okay. I'm gonna put the rest of this barbecue sauce right in here. Pizza is done. And breadsticks are done. And I'm gonna put the wings in the air fryer. The dough is rising, but it's rising really slow. I'm gonna wait till it gets about halfway up the edge of this pan. Then I'm gonna cook them on a 375-degree oven for about between 30 and 45 minutes with the lid on. And then we're going to take the lid off and let it cook for an additional 10 to 15 minutes just so it gets that nice golden color. We don't want to cut into it while it's hot, so we're just going to let it sit on the counter overnight, and then tomorrow we'll cut it into cubes and make our bread cubes for the stuffing. I will show you the finished product, but in the meantime, I just want to say thank you very much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. It means more to me than you can ever imagine. When you watch my videos and you give it a thumbs up, and when people subscribe, it fills my heart with joy. You fill my heart with joy, and I want to say thank you very much for tuning in on my channel, watching my videos, and getting inspired. It blesses my heart and my soul. So today was a to-do list day that we did not get everything done, but that's okay. We have tomorrow. I will be baking the bread tonight. I will show you the finished product. I have videos out there on how I make my bread. Please go check those out. Right over here you're going to see 2 videos. Go check those out until the next upload. I hope they inspire you to get in your kitchen and make something healthy, like a homemade, frozen, ready to heat and eat pizza, or a delicious applesauce cake, or make homemade bread. Just get in the kitchen and make something with real ingredients, real food to feed your family. Until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family.